On this inaugural debut of Stich and Company, a Stich Method podcast, I have the pleasure of talking to a bandmate of mine who I was in the band with 15 years ago from Roots of Creation. I haven't seen or talked to them in 15 years, and they just released an amazing album called The Grateful Dub. So what follows is a FaceTime call that I recorded talking to Brett Wilson, the lead singer and guitarist and visionary of Roots of Creation. We spent a lot of time catching up, and we also spent a lot of time talking about this new album, which you should definitely check out and definitely get yourself to one of their concerts across the nation. I hope you enjoy what follows. Thanks for being here. Bye. Questions, which is,
yeah, go for it.
Are you still in touch with Gary Robideau?
Yes, he's very active. We have this Facebook group called R.O.C. Family. It's like a private little group.
Yep.
And we had a barn party for our last Pledge Music crowdfunding campaign, and we did a barn party for that, and he set up like a Roots of Creation museum, which had some pieces you were involved in.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, some old merchandise and a lot of old flyers and tour dates all framed up on the wall, which is still out in the barn.
Oh, that's so great, dude.
I'll take some pictures and send it to you.
Do they have the flyers where we had to put the white sticker on top and to edit the dates?
Yep,
Get out. All right, so for anyone listening, I am talking with none other than Brett Wilson, who is the frontman, singer, guitar player, and visionary for the band Roots of Creation, who I had the pleasure of playing with from like 2003 to 2005, something of that era, 2004, 2005.
I want to say it's stretched from 2004 to 2004 to 2006 or 7 or something like that.
I remember.
I don't know exactly.
I can't remember.
I bet we can look on archive.org and find some cool. There's still some of the shows you played are some of the most popular on archive.org.
Get out. I'm pretty sure that after I launched this podcast, a lot of Stich Method fans would be like, "You're gonna have to play with them on stage again." I'd be like, "Okay, let's make it happen."
The Stich era. The Stich
era. It's so funny. I quick question. Do you remember? I remember when we did our tour for supporting the album Rise Up, and we were in Virginia in that van, and the van died at the peak of a hill. And Gary, I thought we were all gonna die. We started going down the hill like 60 miles an hour, and Gary got the engine to start again. And oh my god, that was like one. I was like, this is how it ends. This is the news. Seven.
I think that's exactly the words you said. This is how it ends.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. That's great. So I had the pleasure of playing bass in your band for a while, and before we get into talking about Grateful Dub, I just want to share with you one of my favorite moments ever of writing music. And I want to see if you remember this, which was we were at your place.
Yep.
And I don't know who came up with the original groove, but it's when, in like a matter of maybe 2.5 hours, R.O.C. constructed from beginning to end a tribute to Gary. And it just fell into place. Do you remember that? That it was one rehearsal. It was your mom was in the other room and came in halfway and said, "Whatever you guys are doing is awesome." And we were like, "Oh, I know." Like it was just, I don't know if you remember that, but for me it was like,
I just remember you coming up with the bass line where it was like boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's I love that thing. But I thought that was one of the most magical times ever.
My favorite was when you came up with the halftime part to Da Bomb.
Oh, really? I swear, I dropped my kids off at school and I was driving. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen to Rise Up on the way home. And Da Bomb came on and I was like,
feel to it. And that part came in, that thrashing part, and I honestly forgot that we went halftime.
Well, not the thrashing part.
No.
The doom, boom, doom, doom, doom.
Yeah, dun, 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 boom, and boom. Yeah, and nobody can see me. I'm like air drumming. Oh man, you're right. That song is awesome. Do you guys still play any of the songs off of Rise Up, or is R.O.C?
Well, we did kind of like we should do it. We should have you come up for like 15-year anniversary.
Sure.
When that comes. But at the 10-year anniversary, we did the whole album at the Stone Church.
Oh, nice. That must have been awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was like a cool exercise to see like what songs actually still made sense in terms of like how we play now and what songs kind of like felt dated and stuff like that. But there was a bunch of them made for me in particular just because lyrically, you know, is obviously about my wife, Juliana, and it's like a special song to me, but also kind of what we did, taking it come from a singer-songwriter song and turning it into the jam parts and like where it goes to the form.
Prayed for purity, and all I did was sin, just like
or
a
something
saint.
On the D, and just like I just really like that one. Plus, it's like so different than everything else. And then Gordon Stone's, I don't know.
Yeah,
that
Gordon
one's
Stone's
special one to me.
Yeah, no, and I was just listening to Made For Me this morning, and again, it just, you know, struck me by surprise how beautiful that song is. You know, I've been removed from that album, you know, for 10, 15 years, and like to hear it fresh and not know the composition and not remember it, I was like, oh man, that's a damn good song. That's a damn good song. So I'm with you on that. I thought the whole album was really, really awesome. But let's move.
I kind of stay away from it too. Like there's a couple songs we still play.
Do you play Universal Soldier or Death March?
We do. That gets requested quite often.
This is for my universal soldiers fighting as we speak, trying to shed some light upon this situation's bleak. Just listen to your heart, got a language we all speak. This is for my soldiers when you're feeling weak. Who stand by me, trying to get tortured human being. Black, white, down to the Red Sea. Colored Sparsy is family, whether be on planes or in the sea. Army, Marines, or in the Navy. On street, trying to raise a baby. A soul rebel, trying to change your country. Because hear my process, stand up for what you believe. Stop out for what you perceive as a leader. Stand our souls to leaders. So if you wanna give your life for Allah,
that gets requested quite often. Because a lot of like people that have been in the service or you know, have family members in the service like really like that song. They identify with like the lyrical content and stuff. Void is one that we bring back every once in a while.
Nice.
Peace, Love and Music. That's How Strong My Love Is. And Death March have pretty much stayed kind of staples in terms of
fantastic. Now, again, for anyone who's listening, we are going to get to the reason this podcast is being recorded, which is Grateful Dub, but I'm going to ask you, which is, and I remember this too, I guess we're just kind of archiving the memories, but you were at our place in Quincy.
Well, forget about the music. What's up with the cats?
Oh, God. Well, it's so funny. Quinn just passed away last year.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, oh my God, it killed me, man. That cat was like my life, you know. He had cancer, and I decided to put him down. He couldn't really function. But Harley, the gray cat, who used to sleep with Tal, is right over there. But he's diabetic, and he's like 28 pounds, and he's just huge. And
how old is he?
Well, he was born in 2002, so 16. Yes.
Wow, that's a good age.
Yeah, and I just it's not dead. And I just took him to the vet, and the vet said that he'll outlive us. But the vet said that about Quinn, and then 3 months later, Quinn was dead. So we'll see how it goes. But do you remember being in the Quincy house, of course, with the Cats, and you had just come up with the idea for Universal Soldier, and we sat down.
Yeah,
and I played the bass line, and you're like, "That's good," and I'm like, "Are you sure?" You're like, "No, it's really good," and I was like, "Okay," and then it was born right there. You had from working with you, it's amazing because you had like it was weird. You would write a song in a split second. I mean, like you would have the song pretty much finished from like the Big Bang. This idea would happen. And then you would have everything laid out in a matter of seconds. And it always amazed me, like how dedicated and how smooth you are to songwriting. So props to you, and anyone who's new to R.O.C. definitely check out all the albums they have to offer. And which brings me to a quick question again before we get to the Grateful Dub. I sit and I make video tutorials on how to play guitar, and I've left the whole scene of playing music and making money from playing music. Now, I noticed on your website that people can listen to you in a variety of ways, from downloading albums to Spotify. In your opinion, if somebody really wanted to support an artist, what's the most profitable way for you to make your money from somebody listening? Is it downloading an album? Is it streaming it? Like, I don't want to get into too much, but if you could tell someone, hey, I'd rather you listen to our music on this medium, what medium is it?
Well, I guess my favorite thing is to have people, come out to the shows.
Okay, yes.
So whatever gets people to get into us and listen to us at home and get them to get their ass off the couch and come to the show.
No, that's awesome.
Is a cool method, whether it's streaming it or downloading it or CDs. I mean, the interesting thing about streaming is there's these people that are against it. There's these people that are so for it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle. We're not a band that's like really seeing any, real revenue from streaming, because most of our fans are more, it's so segmented. Like there's fans that are really into getting a CD at the show signed by the band or pre-ordering the CD. And sometimes they even buy it on iTunes too, so they don't have to rip the CD and deal with all of the stuff that goes along with it. And it's really more of like a commemorative item or something for their children that they give to them.
Gotcha.
There's some people that are really into the vinyl. The cool thing with working with Pledge Music is when people pre-order it, they all get a digital copy, and they can choose whether it's like a high quality WAV or an MP3 or whatever. And then they also get like a hard copy or a T-shirt or whatever else. So for me, like that's the ideal platform, is when the fan gets to choose exactly what they want in terms of whether they want a T-shirt or, Tal always said you can't download a T-shirt. You can't stream a T-shirt. So like we got the T-shirts, we got the CDs, the vinyl, all that stuff is supportive. And the streaming, the argument that I've heard that's the coolest argument is, somebody, let's say, downloads your album on iTunes, and like, so you get that whatever after Apple takes their cut and the distributor and all that stuff, you get a cut of whatever it is,
and it's finite.
$7. It's finite.
Right.
But the streaming argument is that, like, if you're really into a band over your life of 40 years or whatever listening to the band, you might stream that,
hundreds of times,
100,000 times. I don't know how many.
And you're throwing a penny or two into the pot every time. I
think it's like 6/100ths of a penny or something crazy.
Fantastic.
It's fractions, but
it adds up.
It's a lot easier also to get somebody to stream your music if they're also on the platform, rather than get somebody to pull out their hard-earned cash to own it forever. It's like almost like it reminds me about going to the library. When back in the day, people, maybe young kids, won't really understand this concept.
What's a
you would
library?
go to the library.
Yep. Yeah.
The Dewey Decimal Card system.
Oh
You would
God.
check out the book.
Yep.
And then you would return it, kind of like Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's a library, you know.
That makes sense.
I'm down with all of it.
Down
really.
with all of it. Well, that's
the most supportive is like, you know, whatever's fun for you, and then just, you know, come to the show. And I guess the most supportive would be directly from us coming to the merch table and snagging something. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Whatever it is, you know, I get, because that's like directly to us, no intermediary,
Good.
except for our lovely merch person, Paul from Granite Line.
Oh, nice. So everyone listening, go to an R.O.C. show, which we will talk about your upcoming tour, which looks furious, by the way. I'm glad I caught you before your tour, because if I talked to you afterward, I'm pretty sure you'd be napping for like 3 weeks. But we'll talk about it in a second. So go out and buy some of their merch, and that's awesome, and support the band. So let's get right down to it. All right, the Grateful Dub. The Grateful Dub. This is following in the footsteps, in my opinion, of, you know, Dub Side of the Moon, which I was introduced to, not in a bad way. Like, I was introduced to that concept of like a reggae version of something, and it's such an awesome album, Dub Side. And then when I heard about Grateful Dub, I was like, this is going to be cool. And then I listened to it, and it really blew my socks off for so many reasons, and I have them all listed here. But one thing I want the listeners to know is, you know, you can go to see a Grateful Dead cover band day in and day out, and you judge those Grateful Dead cover bands based upon how good is the Jerry, how good is, you know, how good is the Bob, you know what I'm saying, and they could,
how short are his shorts?
Yeah, how short are his shorts? Like, yeah, are they nut huggers? Exactly. Okay, good Bobby rendition right there. And so you don't want to. I don't want to have that experience when I'm listening to a Grateful Dead cover, but this is different. This is a Grateful Dead tribute around what you guys do best, which is this reggae-infused genre. And when I heard it, it was so apparent, like, hey, we're not covering the Dead. We are pushing the Dead songs through a new skin. And I was telling my wife, Jenny, you know,
wasn't that one of your songs?
What was?
I just got a revelation of, like, wasn't a song you wrote, New Skin?
New Skin? Oh, was that the song that we played a couple times? Is that what we called it? Jeez, you got a memory, man. I had no idea. Don't tell them that now all the Stich meth heads, that's what they call them, the Stich meth heads. They're gonna say, oh, you gotta debut that song, which will never happen. Or maybe it will. But God damn. So the idea is, it was so refreshing, and I said, you know, to have your album, in my opinion, split up amongst the Grateful Dead playlist would be so refreshing. You know, you'd hear a Dead song, you'd hear something else related to Dead, and then would come this reggae version of it, where the arrangements of everything you did were spectacular. The production value of what you did was spectacular. Your special guests on that album are spectacular. And I want to first start off with getting your opinion of how you think the album came out.
Sure. Well, you mentioned a playlist. I've been thinking about, you know, creating some sort of a Spotify playlist where my favorite versions, or our favorite versions as a band, are back to back with the ones we did. But we were honored to have the Casey Jones featuring Dan Kelly of Fortunate Youth featured on the Grateful Dead Hour this week.
Nice.
So it actually got played. I believe David Gans, like, he missed a couple songs from the last show that he played. So he played like a couple of those songs. He dropped that track, and then he played some sort of debut of a soundboard recording. I forget what year it was. I think it was in the 70s.
Oh, cool. Back to back. So comparisons. Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. You know, I've been listening to that for years. And so, you know, I think it's like syndicated on, I don't know, 50 stations or something. So they might even still play it, you know, after this podcast comes out. I'm not sure, but I think they archive it as well. But I guess digressing to what you were saying, how do I think it came out? There was so much, you know, fun parts of this record, and then some painful births at
Oh,
the end.
really? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
When I called you out of the
yep.
blue and I said, "Dude, this album's great," you had said you have no idea how much blood, sweat, and tears went into this album. And I said, "I'd love to hear it. I'm going to catch up with you. I'll call you later." So I think we're getting into it right now. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, sure. So we started out by, you know, getting together with Errol Brown, which we talked about on the phone. He's responsible for, I think, the last three Bob Marley albums, and very much a part of the entire Legend album,
Nice.
compiling it and remixing it and stuff. And also was on tour with Bob, I believe, for the final year. He did Peter Tosh, Legalize It. I mean, his credits are just crazy.
Yeah, they are.
I think on our Pledge Music campaign video, we listed them all off. I was like, here's the part where we list the credits.
Yeah.
As a joke. And then Tal put it in the video. It was like, shh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
so,
great.
but he's an awesome, amazing person. I mean, 72 years old, more energy than us. And we did, I think about 10 or 12 days straight of 12-hour days to track the album.
Are you kidding me?
Pure joy. Like, there wasn't any, like, it wasn't difficult. He made everything very, very simple. He had the foundation of the bass and drums. They had to be perfect, dialed in sounds. And then, you know, getting the rhythm tracks down, making sure Tal and I were skanking away the whole entire time, and you know, the whole song, you know, classic style, muted out if it doesn't belong, then throw the rock and roll elements and my vocals on top, and just the way that we produced it was really awesome. It just, and then we did some, you know, preliminary mixes where in his mind it may have been really close to completion or completed.
Oh, but on your mind.
But we wanted to get some special guests. So he went off on tour with Revolution and did his thing. And our manager, John, and a co-releaser of the album from Controlled Substance Sound Labs and Silverback Music, and I brainstormed on all these special guests that I knew and he knew, and we started to get them involved.
No, yeah, I'm going to cut you short here for a second. Melvin effing Seals. Melvin on your album. How did that happen? Like,
he is just like the most soulful human being on the planet.
Well, I'm sure he is, but when I saw the credit and I went, no way, because, you know, for my YouTube channel, I have to sit and I listen to Dead shows and I listen to Jerry Garcia, and there's Melvin sitting on his keyboards, you know, and he looks 40 in those videos, and to only find out he's only 65 now, I was like, wow, the guy's still young. And he's, you know, I had no idea. Like, I mean, you have to go through the exact process, but who came up with his name and how did you get him? Because that's awesome.
Well, we actually became friends. This whole concept was born with these promoters. Well, this promoter Dan from Jerry Jam Festival, who started this festival after Jerry died, in a barn, streaming, you know, Dead shows on a giant screen. I think prior to TVs being big, like on a projector screen. And he just had a gathering of Deadheads who were kind of mourning the loss of Jerry, and just, you know, they got together, and each year it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we ended up playing like kind of the first year where they got a quote unquote, you know, headliner, and it wasn't just his friends playing.
Yeah.
And we started to become a part of that family and start to, you know, throw some Grateful Dead material into our set in an organic way. And one year we did a Halloween show where we did a whole set of Dead material for him. And that kind of spawned the idea that we could actually really do this in a studio setting, and why don't we try this out? So, but fast forward a little bit, we ended up, you know, playing with Melvin at Jerry Jam and meeting him and talking to him, and you know, he was very interested in actually doing some original material. So we had him on the last album. He played on this song "Struggle" because everybody always asks him, "Can you do this Dead song? Can you do that?"
Right.
You know, so he was very excited about some young cats coming up to him and loving his playing and having him be on some original material. So he loved doing that so much that we ended up performing together at Jerry Jam last summer, and his guitarist Zach Nugent does a great job at Jerry, and they both came up there and we did the Grateful Dub live.
Get out.
And then what he did was we had so much fun there that he was like, yeah, I'll hop on the Grateful Dub album. That sounds like fun. So it's just kind of an organic
and that makes sense. Here I am seeing the name going, oh my God. But, you know, and the way it worked is just over years, it was just like running into each other and you're like, oh, it's Melvin. But did any part of that entire timeline, did you look over and go, holy crap, that really is Melvin Seals, like from the Jerry Garcia band? Did you ever
the only time that kind of like fan, like crazy moment happened to me was when we played with him at Organic Smiles Festival in Connecticut last summer, which is like a really like, you know, underground kind of like Deadhead Jam festival, like on this weird, crazy, like it's like almost looks like an abandoned circus. Like there's like weird, like, you know, mirrored things and clowns and all that. It's kind of freaky.
Oh man, were people freaking out?
I don't know. It freaks me out a little bit, but like it's fun. And like, so we did our set and I asked him to sit in and he was like, I don't know, man, I just got here, whatever. Like he's setting up his band and then he's like, well, why don't you sit in with us? And I'm like, okay.
Oh, you
so
get
I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to sit in for a song or two. But then all of a sudden he doesn't want me to leave. And then all of a sudden, like I was up there for the second half of the first set and then the entire second set. So for me, like it was a whole different scenario to have him on our material with, you know, my musical direction, but to be under his musical direction, playing in JGB, essentially, you know, the quote unquote keepers of the flame of Jerry Garcia band, fulfilling not 100% of Jerry's role, but complementing what Jerry was doing and being a part of that. That was kind of a surreal experience for me.
Dude, that's surreal for me. Yeah, that sounds... I would just throw up and leave, man. I mean, like that's amazing. Good for you, man. You held your own on that. That's awesome.
Luckily, he had a little bit of Patron that I could sip off of to ease the nerves.
Calm the nerves. That's good. That's good, man. I would be like, okay, hold on, just let me stretch out before we do it. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you in that moment.
And to hear their improvisational techniques that they had going on, which was totally different than what I'm used to, because they kind of go in a circle in terms of like, it's like guitar takes the lead, and then
it's like a jazz.
Organ takes the lead. Yeah,
like a jazz circle. Yeah.
Yep.
Verse. I mean, when we were in Roots Creation, a lot of the improvisation was the rest of the band supporting your guitar solos, you know,
right.
and just trying to like flow with you. But I know it's like where it's like your turn, you're like, oh crap. Like
I kind of brought a little bit of that aspect to it.
Oh, good.
Which was felt, you know, I liked it. Like Melvin kept smiling at me because it wasn't that jazz concept. It was like the Dead like group improvisation thing going on.
Nice.
And he was like, you know, grooving, and it was a nice fresh flavor, I think, for the evening. It was cool.
That's great, man. That is awesome. You know, when we talk about, I can't believe it. Now, who really quickly, again, for everyone listening, I swear we're going to dive into this album, but as you can see, Brett and I haven't talked to each other for 15 years, and there's a lot of catching up, and I have all these questions. I can't say what my favorites are, but I will tell you there is one song that like it just grabbed me by the nuts, man. This song, which was your version of "They Love Each Other." That to me, unreal. Now, who is on it? You have this lady, Haley Jane, and her voice is. This isn't me saying, oh, she's the best singer in the world. What I'm saying is her voice complemented the song and your voice so well. And I was like, how did they find this? Who is this? So who is Haley Jane on?
But you know it chooses place beside her. Don't get in their way. There's nothing you can say, nothing that you need to ever do. They love each other. Lord, you can see that's true. Lord, you can see that's true. Lord, you can see that's true.
Haley Jane is an amazing artist based in Boston, and we kind of grew up in the scene at the same time. She has her own band, which is amazing, called Haley Jane and the Primates. She also plays solo acoustic. She does a lot of like roaming special guest stuff at like Disc Jam and other festivals. I think she's done some stuff with Everyone Orchestra, and she has this brand new project with Ryan Montbleu called Yes Darling, which is hilarious, where they play the part of a husband and wife or girlfriend and boyfriend, and they do this kind of like
duet
theatrical performance of fighting with each other. And if you're in a relationship, you just chuckle the whole time.
Oh, I'm sure.
So many things that everyone goes through. It's like almost stand-up meets,
real life.
Vaudeville meets, real life. So she's
great.
done a lot of great projects. And her first band was like kind of a ska and reggae band. And so she's always gravitated towards this type of music. And we just thought we got to have some female presence on this record, and she's definitely the one. We've jammed multiple times at Jungle Jam and various festivals, and she's a great friend. And the co-producer John Phillips is good friends with her, so we were just like, we got to have this song. Seemed just perfect for her. I'm not sure why, but
it was that song from the beginning to end is close to perfection. I really just it was after that song, which I think it's just the second track on your album. It was after that song where I checked my phone to make sure I still had your phone number. I was like, all right, this is unreal. You mentioned your producers. I just want to really quickly go into the production value of this album really quickly.
Sure.
For the Grateful Dub. It really stood out because, so what a lot of people do or don't know is that you have a new drummer in the band, all right? And the drummer that I'm used to, Mike, I can picture Mike in the studio.
Yep.
And I know that when Mike got stressed out, he would sweat, and I don't know. Right? Am I right? I can tell you about the time he fell in a clothing store. It was the funniest thing in the world, but we'll do that later. But I hear, now Mike is the drummer on the album, correct?
Yep. And the drummer that's currently touring with us did all the percussion work.
That's what I want to get to right now. The percussion work on this album is outstanding for the mere fact you can hear it when you need to hear it, and then all of a sudden it's like there's a little bird in your ear, and you're like, what is that? And you're like, oh, that's some added stuff. There's added percussion. So that's exactly where I want to go with this, is the production value struck me for all of the filling of the sound. Like the sound on this album is full from bass to the highest vocals, to the highest guitar strings. And it was all the filler stuff that you put in that blew my mind, and where did that come into play? Like, when did you guys realize that was a part that you needed to do? Because I'll tell you right now, it really makes all those tracks really super special.
Yeah, I mean, Errol is always like a forward-thinking individual, so he's never caught in the past. So some of these techniques for him were like, he's like, you guys want to put percussion on? He's like, that's old school.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like, okay, we could do an old school sound,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like, actually, a lot of the percussion, also Mike and Alex together were in a room, which was really fun to watch them, orchestrate their parts and, I'm going to do this beat and you're going to do that beat, and they're hanging out together. So I don't know. It was just kind of like, I think the percussion came towards the end, which is also where some horn overdubs came in. Billy Cottage, who's toured with us for a number of years and been a part of all the most recent records, came back from Real Big Fish tour.
Yeah.
And he did his trombone parts, and we had my good friend AG from Slightly Stupid do the trumpet parts. So our saxophone player Andrew, charted everything out, and that's like way above my comprehension.
Well, I noticed
of music.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Just your sax player. It's so funny you say that. I could hear clearly on this album between the actual lines and the harmonies for the saxes and the horns. Yep. On the line of I'm brilliant, and when I say brilliant, like I'm not saying Steve Vai brilliant. I hate that stuff. I'm saying like. For instance, I'm doing an In the Mind of video for Bob Weir soon, and what makes Bob Weir so special is that you sometimes can't even hear him, and his lines just blend into the music. And I find
sometimes I don't know who's playing. Is it Bob? Is it Jerry?
Jerry, or is it like a ghost person underneath the stage?
Like I think my favorite line on China Cat Sunflower, I believe, is Bobby playing.
Bob. That is, it's it's Bobby's line. It's so
and forever I thought it was Jared.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, well, Bob played a lead line. But yeah, I'm so with you. But your the saxes and the horns, you can clearly hear them. But the direction of one horn and then the harmony, and that direction, it's so well thought out, and it fits so perfectly into your arrangements. So when you talk to your sax player, tell him like Stich, who he doesn't know and shouldn't matter, but tell him I really enjoyed it. Like I thought, I really
he'll love that.
Clearly, but about your saxophone player, you said he's brilliant, and he is brilliant. I think that the arrangements are spectacular.
Everybody in the band really just. I think Errol just brought the best out of everybody, and the cool thing about the project was you're not thinking about what about this melody? Is this melody that I'm writing good, or the lyrics are the lyrics good for this song, or how about this bridge? Is this bridge any good? Like
right,
the song is already a classic. You can't really,
but that's the thing. It's already written, but like.
It was freeing for us to not have that kind of internal struggle about writing,
but putting your own flavor on it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like I haven't heard you guys live for some time. Last time was actually when you came to Florida, and I saw you last. But I could clearly hear your guitar playing, your style. Which, by the way, if anybody has any questions, I mean, you're a brilliant guitar player. I love your solos. I always have loved your solos, and it was always awesome to be playing the bass to it. But I want to clearly identify. I said this earlier that I don't have favorites, but I do have a favorite moment on this Grateful Dub album.
Sure.
Okay, and to me, when I heard this, I had to rewind it and like. I just want to. I love getting into the mindset of things, but as you explained, it turns out it's very organic. But let's just talk about the 5 seconds before the guitar solo in Black Muddy River. Okay.
Oh yeah, I knew you'd like that part.
Oh my god. just like, I knew it was coming. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I know what's about to happen. And it happened. And I was like, let's rewind that again. You know, like that was so, that to me is a highlight. I feel like if anybody needs like a pick me up and is not feeling well, you know, just listen to Black Money River.
Or if you want a good cry. For some reason that I have to fight back tears when I sing that song.
Well, I'm thinking about it now. I'm getting teared up. It's a beautiful song. I mean, and your version of it does it such a good justice. And by the way, what kind of acoustic guitar is that? Is that a Taylor? Is that a Martin on that? That thing sounds so good.
It's hard for me to remember. I believe my my uncle-in-law passed away. Sadly,
I'm sorry.
Cancer. My uncle-in-law passed away sadly of cancer. And I actually wrote a song, "Get Ready for Him." And he left me this great, amazing Martin guitar, and I believe that's what we used on that song.
What a personality on that instrument, and also the production value. But now let's go back to the best moment in the world, which is that intro, the guitar solo. How'd that come about? Just walk me through. Like, was it you? Was it Errol? Was it someone? Was there dead space and said we got to fill it? Because whatever you did there was just awesome.
I think I just hopefully the Dead fans that aren't into Trey don't get mad at me and hate me and write me off. But that was like me going, okay, it's time to add a little Trey.
Yes, that's what. Yes, you're absolutely right. Like, I'm not saying. I'm with you, and I hate. There's nothing. How do I explain this? You did not steal. But when I heard that, it was like Prince Caspian-ish, right? It's that that lead into the guitar solo with that like reverse feedback. But I'm telling you, like, first of all, you didn't steal it from Trey. Trey, when he did it, he stole it from someone else. I mean but you don't.
Well, basically, I did that kind of country bend where you bend with your ring finger and hold your pinky
to the major third. Yeah. The major.
Yeah.
Delicious, Brett. I mean,
since this is kind of a, people that are into nerding out on gear. So what I did was I had the volume pedal rocked all the way back. I had a tube screamer on, a compression sustainer, both of which I learned from Trey's rig back in the day. And then I have my own two things that I added on top of that are a Governor Marshall pedal, which simulates a Marshall stack.
Nice.
And a millisecond delay.
Oh, wow.
Those are the two things that I added on top of his sound to give it more of a crunchier, heavier kind of thing. And the intro you're talking about is the bend starting while the volume pedal is rocking forward to give it kind of a pedal steel. And then as soon as it comes in, it's like rock and roll,
Oh man, I know, man. That moment is great. That brings me up to something which I didn't realize, but just talking to you just now, the production value of the album, like I said, is amazing, but then I forget, like, whoa, you guys have been playing and touring for the past 15 years, and you do have your own pedal boards, and how many of the sounds and moments were designed around your actual knowledge of your pedal board and the stuff you get live? Was there a lot of moments you said, well, okay, I know exactly what I want to do, and you click on the pedal board and just recorded it, or was it more after production stuff?
I would say I had a lot of ideas, but Errol took us out of our elements of our fallbacks or our what am I reaching for?
Your habits, like your habits of on your pedal board and your guitar, right?
Yeah, in terms of like, there was a lot of moments where he was like, "No,
too generic,
too loud."
Okay.
Like, because we had to retain that the reggae elements, of the skanking, either clean guitar or with reverb or with the wah-wah pedal. He was just very, he loves rock and roll, so he loved that part. It just it had its places, and he kept us away from doing immature, I guess more immature things, I would say.
Well, I don't think that R.O.C. has any sort of immature ideas, but I know what you're saying. Like, it stands out as it's just a very well cared for album.
Yeah.
Like, where the only thing that's in it are things that made the cut, and that's awesome.
And there were a couple tones that I experimented with his, kind of guidance and vision, and also Brendan Connor's guidance and vision, and the band all collaborating on their thought process. Like, for instance, like the solo on Jerry does a lot of stuff that's very clean.
God.
And when I solo, I tend to always hit
distortion.
A pedal,
yeah, of course.
pedal. And so what we did instead was I played just a clean solo, and I think I used a fake Strat on "They Love Each Other." I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and listen, but there was some experimenting with different guitars, and on that one he put this kind of country slapback echo on it that I try to recreate live, and I go to my amp and leave it on clean and just give the amp a couple notch boost, and then just throw the reverb all the way up to like 7 or 8, and kind of just do that slapback country kind of on Burning Ring of Fire.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome.
Then there's also a pedal they let me borrow, which was like kind of an auto wah, which I don't have in my board to do the solo for "He's Gone."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I noticed the solo for "He's Gone" starts off with. Does it start off with that auto wah? Oh, and then it snaps into like a regular, like kind of like distorted, dirty guitar. Honestly, I could not tell if that was an organ part coming in and then a guitar, but now you have a mystery solved there. So that's awesome. I want to talk about, it's something you and I can seriously talk for 7 hours, but I want to talk about something that I'm going to be very blatantly honest with you.
Sure.
Okay, which is, I'm going through the track list and I see what is it, the moment, a moment of silence for Jerry Garcia. So I see it. And I say to myself, well, is this a song called "The Moment of Silence for Jerry Garcia," or is it really "Moment of Silence for Jerry Garcia"? And then I say to myself before I click on it, like, what's the cheese factor of that? No, I'm being serious. Like, is that a cheese factor? And then I press play and I hear this beautiful child's voice. Is that your child saying it?
Yeah, it's my daughter. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. And this is a moment of silence for Jerry Garcia, and then it's silent for about 2 minutes, and
something like a minute and a half or
something. One of the most pertinent moments of silence ever. Like that was, you go to school, you go places, and then a moment of silence, and you sit there and you go, okay, when is this going to start? But either because your daughter was on it, or the way it was placed and the way it's done, it really hit me, and I think that like. People should not dismiss that. Like, really look at that track and think about what he provided for everyone in the world. I think it was very, very tasteful and a great, track to put on there. And whose idea was that? Like, just wondering.
I wanted to put it on there because, like, we were putting like the remix, we already did "Road Jimmy" on the last album, and Errol was doing his own mix of it. And so that's really where the album, was supposed to end. And I was like trying to figure out, how do we put this on there, like, so that people know that as a piece of art, like the album is finished. But there's still a one song, you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, that's good.
So I'm like, I don't know. It's a bonus track. Maybe we put a little bit of like time in between it so people have time to digest. And I was like, well, I mean, for me, this entire album is like I learned how to play guitar from listening to Dead bootlegs. So maybe I should, show Jerry some love. And I was actually in Mexico, like, oh, should it be just silent or should I say a moment of silence? And I tried that, and it did sound cheesy when I said it.
Yeah.
My daughter was standing next to me, and I was like, will you do this? She's like, she looked at me, she's like, yeah, Daddy, I'll do it,
Yeah.
So she did second take, she nailed it.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's funny because all of her friends, like, parents are into the Dead or our music and stuff, and like the kids are into our stuff, but the kids, all their favorite song is
Moment of Silence for Jerry Garcia. That's great. Well, it was beautiful. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. We can sit and talk about the album. I'm sure that by now people have already stopped the podcast and tried to look it up. I was going to go through the track list, but I think your song choices are awesome. I briefly just want to talk about your song choices for the album.
Sure.
And then I want to talk about your tour, which is probably going to be your first days when this podcast comes out. So listen up, everyone listening, like check out rootsofcreation.com, right? Rootsofcreation.com. It has your tour. We'll get there. But I want to get people to your concerts. So the specific songs, I'm just going to list down the track list really quickly.
Sure.
Fire on the Mountain, They Love Each Other, Friend of the Devil, Deal, Casey Jones, Black Muddy River, Ripple, He's Gone, Sugary, Shakedown Street Dub, which is fantastic, Standing on the Moon, The Moment of Silence for Jerry Garcia, and Row Jimmy. Now, my question to you is, which one of those almost didn't make the cut?
Yeah, there were two ones in particular, possibly three, that we really struggled with. Most of them were effortless, that I'd been performing either acoustically in a little bar just for fun, or we'd been experimenting with on stage. But Shakedown Street, I did not like my vocals on.
Oh.
And I didn't like them. That song is so much fun live, but when we were analyzing it, as you know, in the studio and the sound labs, you analyze everything, and there was some element of cheese factor to me singing the vocals I didn't like, and I wasn't nailing them. They were a little high for me, so we were like, oh, maybe we should get a special guest to sing them, and nothing ended up materializing that we were in love with.
Okay.
So I was like, well, in dub music, a lot of times, an instrument will replace the vocals. Let's try horns. And then the horns just nailed it.
That's cool. And anything else?
He's Gone. We were having a lot of trouble with that one. We recorded the whole thing together as a band. We weren't in love with anything that was going on. And we kind of almost deleted everything except for the vocals, then started from scratch.
Really?
And approached it almost like a DJ would approach a remix.
Nice. And
Mike added some electronic drums, and we added some synth pads and some Moog bass, and really approached it more in a kind of like we're going for a UB40 meets like a EDM kind of vibe for it.
That's the exact vibe, man. Very good. That's the exact vibe I got for that. And it's funny you say this.
He's gone. Now he's gone. He's gone. Now he's gone. He's gone.
Said it. but I will say I love your vocal take on it. I love how you you pushed and pulled on those vocals a little bit outside the standard arrangement, and it works really well. So that's awesome. So with that being said, to try to keep this under however much time we have, let's talk about your upcoming tour. And for anyone listening, if you haven't been to an R.O.C. show, that's Roots of Creation for short, get your behind there. So this tour starts on April 12th. Is that correct? And how many cities and how many days? I looked it up. I would not survive that tour. I quit. Yeah, listen, Brett, I'm done, okay? So I'm done.
You don't want to eat pizza and Doritos for 6 weeks?
I no, not at all. So yeah, that tour looks killer. So how many cities, how many days?
Well, we just completed 2.5 week tours. We did the Northeast, and then we did the whole East Coast in 2 legs, and we broke it up to have a little time with our families and to rehearse and stuff. So this will be the 3rd leg, and we are we're kicking things off in upstate New York. Then we're visiting, so let's see, we're doing Java Barn at St. Lawrence University.
Oh my God, the Java Barn.
Remember that place?
Of course. Those people were so nice. I can remember
They're
the house.
amazing.
The house next door, they invited us in.
Yeah.
My God, dude, that's awesome. Okay.
That's
continue.
been a staple. And actually Grace Potter donated the money for the green room. So she's got like a little plaque on there. It's really cool.
Well, on a side note, when I was in R.O.C., we opened up for Grace
Remember
Potter.
that?
Yeah, people don't believe that. I'm like, no, I swear, I was backstage
at the Stone Church.
That's a Stone Church. It was awesome. Yeah. And when she had brown hair and she was like frumpy, and now she's like.
I remember I was like sitting on the couch, like working on a set list, and all of a sudden she comes out of the bathroom in her underwear.
Yeah, it takes your shirt.
Oh, I'm so sorry, and she's like. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm in a band with boys. And then we just hung out and talked about music.
I was there for that, and we were both like, "What?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it." We're like, "Okay." It was upstairs. Yeah. I remember. That's so funny. Okay, continue. So you're starting off in upstate New York, and where are you going?
Then we're going to Pittsburgh, and then we head out to do like the Midwest, like Chicago, all that stuff. We're going to hit Colorado,
nice,
which we're really excited about, Denver and Fort Collins. And then kind of the mecca of this tour is to perform at Stephen Marley's Kaya Festival.
Who's on your album? Sorry.
Who's on the album?
Who's on your album, Grateful Dead?
Hopefully will jump on stage with us. But no matter what, we're really excited about that. We're playing San Diego and San Bernardino, California is where Kaya Fest is, and I believe we're going to have Dela from Slightly Stupid on saxophone, and the Ganja Farmer, Marlon Asher, who's also on Fire in the Mountain, is talking about jumping up. So I think Kaya will give us an opportunity, and Mike is actually flying out for that show in particular.
Really? Because
Errol Brown is doing the sound that weekend. He's going to mix us. So it's the first show ever that Errol will mix Roots of Creation.
Nice.
We'll have some special guests. Mike's flying out for the show. So it's a reunion of sorts in terms of the actual record in a live form.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's great. So for anyone who's interested, go check out rootsofcreation.com and look at their tour dates, and go to their show and buy some merch and tell them Stich sent you, and then they'll all pretend they have no idea who Stich is. I think that it's you and Tal that that only know who I am. The rest of the members I've never met, but they all sound amazing. I've seen.
We'll do a 10% off discount at the merch table for the
Stitch,
the Stitch heads, the meth heads.
Stitch meth heads. All right, just all they got to say is, "Hi, my name is blank, and I'm a Stitch meth head." And then okay. Tell your merch
and I won't tell our tour manager, so he's completely confused.
That's perfect. They look at you like, what the hell is this guy talking about? That's great.
I'm a
man.
meth head. Give me 10%.
I don't want to start that. I know, but that's too funny. Well, Brett, I'm sure I had some other questions for you, but it was honestly awesome catching up, and I'm really proud.
I'm really going to be I'm going to be studying the Stich method
Oh,
on tour.
You don't need to, but thank you. That's great.
Usually I'm just like listening to music or writing stuff down or doing computer work or watching Netflix. So instead, I think it's going to be healthier for my music career to watch the Stich method rather than
I got you. Then
Netflix.
Well, let me ask you a question before we go. I just did an In the Mind of video for Neil Casal. Do you know who Neil Casal is?
No.
He is he's a member of the band The Circles Around the Sun featuring Neil Casal, and they did.
Oh yeah. That album's amazing.
Yeah, I analyzed Saturday's Children, that song. It's one of, and what he's doing, and you should check that out because to me it was it wasn't the hardest, but it was the most rewarding dissection of somebody's like mind for guitar playing, and it was really cool to get it down. But I thank you for your support on that, and I wish you and the band continued support. And I hope that this album really takes a hold with Grateful Dead fans anywhere. I think that, the whole point of this is to try and get that album to the hands of people who would not disregard it, but just never have the opportunity to hear your music. So if you guys are listening right now, stream it, buy it, whatever, share it with people, let them know like it's a quality, good album that will get you moving, and I can't congratulate you guys enough on what you did. And
it's been really rewarding to have Deadheads really embrace the record in terms of an emotional sense and be connected to it. And there's also a lot of Deadheads that kind of ventured from being Deadheads and kind of ventured into different realms. A lot of them went into kind of this reggae rock scene that we're into, so it kind of brings them back to their youth of some of them touring in the 80s with the Dead and stuff. So we get to hear all these stories of like, when I met Jerry or when I toured with the Dead for a decade or
cool.
whatever. So it's been a cool cultural experience, and also just a lot of cool stories we're hearing. So it's the Dead community is amazing community, and the reggae community is amazing community, and it's cool to have both kind of getting married together a little bit.
I have to tell you a story. That's awesome, by the way. But you just remind me. I have to tell you a story. I was at this museum with my kids, and this one kid was like picked on my son. And I said to the kid, I said, "Yo, bro."
At the museum?
At the museum. Like, he threw something, and like, it made my son cry. And I was like, whoa, whoa. And I said, "Yo, bro." I said, "Nobody treats my son like that, all right?" And he looked at me and walked away. And then the kid that I had, like, yelled at started crying in a corner, and I felt bad. And then he points to me, he's talking to his mom, and I go over to his mom, right? And his mom's already angry that I'd yell at her son. And she's like, "You said, 'yo, bro,' blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Well, yeah, he threw a shoe. This like shoe piece at my son and made him cry." And she's like, "A shoe?" And I'm like explaining it's part of this exhibit. And I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, "Listen, I swear," I'm like, "I was in a reggae band. Like, I'm cool. Like, I'm peace and love. Like, I'm not upset. And I'm sorry I yelled at your child, but like, I'm not angry over this. Reggae band, all right?" And I walked away. And so, I get it. The reggae community is very cool.
That sounds like an awkward moment from like a Netflix like TV show.
Yeah, if any producers are watching it, I can reenact it for you. It was, but at the same time, I was very proud.
Were you like hashtag reggae?
Yeah, hashtag reggae music. Yeah, hashtag reggae band. Like, I'm cool. Like, I wanted to be like, look at my beard, look at my faded hairline, long hair. Like, I'm chill. Like, look at me, like, so stupid, but it was so funny. But listen,
you could play a Jerry.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, I got a little fat and shit too, but it's so funny.
I wasn't talking about that.
I know you weren't. 'Cause I'm wearing a black shirt, so you can't see it. But what's so funny is when I went to go see DSO, the Dark Star Orchestra, for the first time when they got their new Jerry, I was like telling my wife, I was like, do they like tell him like, hey man, Jerry, you got to eat a couple more subs because you got to look like Jerry because he looks like Jerry. You know, I'm like, is that a character? Is he acting that, or is it just by sheer happen chance?
I've been joking around with the band, like should we all come out in like black shirts with a little pocket and like sweatpants, like black sweatpants.
Sweatpants. Yeah, it's so funny you say that because John Mayer, I've seen Dead and Company, he's coming out in sweatpants, and I'm like, is that a Jerry thing? Is that like, is that a tribute? Or when you're on stage and you make millions of dollars a year, you just say, F it, I'm coming out in sweatpants.
He's just psyched he doesn't have to be a pop star and can just rip guitar.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's like, I could finally just like release what I want to play and just have fun. You're absolutely right. Well, everyone, this was Brett Wilson of Roots of Creation. Had a damn good time talking to you. And again, go get your ass in to one of their concerts across the nation and buy the album, listen to it, and come listen again. I think the name of the podcast is Stich and Company, or Stich and Co. Yeah,
nice.
I think that's what it is. So
I like it.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Stich and Co. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Drowning